Hey, wow, that was fast. It never connects that fast. Well, what a pleasant surprise. Welcome back, everybody. Or welcome if it's your first time here. Let's see, who's in the chat? One of the people, and Andrew. Andrew's going to come on and talk. And one of the people, that's Josh. And I got to make him a moderator because he's got two accounts. He fooled me. He didn't fool me. I just wasn't fast enough to catch up. So Josh has been on as one of the people a few times, and not as a wrench. So, all right, Josh, you're a wrench. Andrew, do you want to be a wrench? Andrew's going to call in. Andrew's going to talk. How would you like to be a wrench, Andrew? You've been following along with me long enough. I trust you to be a wrench. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat, or you can just tell me when we talk. Look at that. Yeah, there's your wrench, Josh Eddy. That's beautiful. So I've been talking a lot about how to own your authority and about these road pirates and how they just think they can trespass upon you because that's what they've been trained, and how you have been trained to be a slave from the day you were born, and that we're all living in fear all the time, always worrying about something, always racing around, never have time for yourself, for your family, your loved ones, just living in fear and worrying about the oppression. And it has accelerated like crazy, hasn't it? It has. It is just absolutely out of control. So you can own your rights. All right, Andrew's ready to be a wrench. Sweet. I love having help. It's good to have help. And it feels good to help people. So I'm doing my best. I never thought I'd be doing this kind of stuff. Geez, the learning curves I had to take to get up to speed here. So anyways, a lot of people are studying a lot of things. They want to know, what can I do? And when people learn about the fiction and that you've been sold on the stock exchange from the day they created your birth certificate, it's all based on where you were born, what kind of economic environment, how much they think they're going to be able to bilk you out of for the rest of your life, because they're just gambling. They're just gambling with your fiction on the stock market, and then they attack you your entire life, suck you dry of your money, of your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, and it's just wrong. That's why we got to abrogate the bar. These British agents, private foreign entity that has infiltrated our government, our servants. They're in there posing as our servants. They're the enemy. And every time we have a problem, oh, you need an attorney. Yeah, you need to go talk with your enemy for help, but don't know it's the enemy. So it'd be like something like World War II, maybe, and you're an American, and you're beyond enemy lines, you're in foreign territory, and you need help. and you get advised, go talk to the German soldiers, or better yet, the Gestapo. Yeah, go talk with the enemy for your help. And you think, oh, this guy's going to help me. You just go and just pour it all out. And they say, yep, we're going to help you lose everything we can take from you. And that's what they do. And it's a sin. And it's just wrong. And it's got to stop. And the sad thing is, we have been so dumbed down that our highest law enforcer doesn't know his job. He does not know his job. He doesn't have a clue about what his job is, really. All you sheriffs, I'm talking to you. You're clueless. You're constitutionally bound to protect freedom with liberty. What don't you understand about that? What makes you think you can administer a free man? What makes you think you can stop a free man? That's arrest. You see, the word stop, what it means to you and me, that meant arrest to our forefathers. You have immunity from arrest, Americans. You have you have diplomatic immunity. All you have to do is own it. It's a maximal law that you can give away your rights. And that's what you've been trained to do. I'm here to tell you, stop it. Just stop it. Own your authority. What are you afraid of? You're afraid of everything. You're afraid to own your authority. Cut it out. Own your authority. You are the boss. You're way up here at the top. But you've been so dumbed down by these British foreign agents posing as your servants, claiming that there are leaders and that our democracy is at risk. Wait a minute. Are you serious? Warning. Warning, warning. Your democracy is at risk. No, their democracy is at risk. We're a republic that has been infiltrated by parasites, leeches, treasonous rats. They tell you they're your leader. They got you convinced they're your leader. They're leading you straight down the primrose path to hell. That's where they're leading you. Now, by God, it's time to grow a pair. It's time to put on that suit of armor. It's time to say enough is enough. Everyone is affected. Grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, brother and sister, aunt and uncle, your cousins, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your friends, your enemies. Everyone is affected by these British parasites. And by God, it's got to end. So you got to get your head out of the sand. You're not going to get your servants under control by going after surety bonds. You're not going to get your government servants under control by chasing your QSIP account. So you can do, uh, uh, so you can write notes and exchange debt. That's not going to get your servants under control. Forming assemblies is not going to get your servants under control. Sending $50 to Mookie over in Australia to get your national ID is not going to get your servants under control. How much good energy is going to get wasted? You got all this energy and all this money. Oh, the military is the answer. Trust the plan. Yeah, my ass. Maybe there's some huge operation going on, cut off the head of the snake, taking out this centuries old, thousands of years old reign these parasites have had on us. Vanguard and BlackRock own everything. Vanguard and BlackRock have company sharing. What is it, 13 families has interest in this? You know, the technology thousands of years ago exceeded the technology we have today. All you got to do is take a look around. You can't build that stuff aligned with the stars, aligned with the magnetic fields and the ley lines. Cut it out. Give me a break. My whole life has been a lie. My entire life. Yours too. It's time for truth. And that's what you get in the people's court. Court of record. Court of law. Not administrative courts of assumptions and presumptions and treasonous shit that Jay got you trapped in. Fraud is a fraud. Fraud eviscerates everything. For a man not to know his everyday job is a deceit, sheriffs. We elected you and we pay you. And you're so stupid you don't know your job. You spend most of your time in the administrative process. Working with the enemy. If I want to smoke a cigarette, in your lobby, ain't nothing you can do about it. I didn't harm anyone. If I want to drive 20 miles an hour over your suggested speed limit, smoking a joint, having one of my favorite beverages, not wearing my seatbelt, no plate, no tabs, no registration, busted mirror, busted taillight, I didn't hurt anybody. No harm done. Yet you're going to take away, you're going to invade the most sacred of our rights, freedom and liberty. Why? Because you're administering? Who gave you that authority? Nobody. You have been so dumbed down by the enemy, you're attacking your own people. And not one of you sheriffs got the balls to come on here and talk with me. Not yet, anyways. Sheriff Mack has got 400 of you guys in his posse, I hear. 400 men that want to be constitutional. And where do you go for advice? The enemy. Come on, Sheriff Mack, you come on here and defend yourself. You tell me why you're telling these guys to deal with the Attorney General when you know dang well they should be dealing with the Assembly. Sheriffs go arrest Sheriff Mack. Bring him into the people's court. In my opinion, he is a treasonous piece of garbage. A stinking rat. Why do we have Democrats with bar cards with positions in government telling us they're our leaders? You got to wear a mask. Oh, so you're wearing a mask until you get tired of wearing a mask. I don't want to wear a mask anymore. Telling you everything about your life. Oh, it's for your safety. They got this thing so turned upside down. No, you idiots. Your position for our safety is things like, is the garbage picked up? So we don't have all this infection and infestation. Are the water treatment plants operating properly? Are the roads maintained? Are the vehicles in commerce that are on the road safe so that the public is not harmed? That is the kind of responsibility you have for safety. Are the buildings that the public go into constructed in a way that's safe for the people to be entering and leaving those buildings? That's the kind of concern for safety. But we have been so dumbed down that we don't know right from left. We don't understand the words our forefathers used. And you got this black book, Black's Law, witchcraft, spelling, assumptions and presumptions, administrative processes. Were you born a slave? No, you were not. You've been trained to be a slave. And we got to end this. So, Andrew John's going to call in a couple of minutes. And I haven't talked with Andrew John. I don't believe. Maybe he's been on a voice chat somewhere in the past. I don't believe we've ever had a conversation, but he's on my Telegram chat channel. And I know Andrew's been following some teachers. He's been active. He's been active in educating himself because he's, in my opinion, he's not happy. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out why he's been doing the kind of research he's been doing, maybe who he's been following, how long, what kind of teachings get you where, and how come he didn't listen to me? How come he didn't get his Americans Notice of Liability facilitated? How come he didn't get a statement on his operator's license without prejudice pursuant to UCC 1-308? And then it happened. Yep, the road pirate got him. And Andrew John sent me over 3 videos of that situation as a sin. And this goes on all day long. It's extortion. It's pure extortion. So we're going to have Andrew John come on and talk about his experience, talk about when he started to wake up and who he's been listening to and what he's going to do now going forward. So, Andrew, anytime you're ready, my friend, you just call on in. we'll get the sound adjusted right, and you can just start talking and share the experience. All right. Love it. Andrew John, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Ethan. It's good to hear your voice, buddy.
All right. I think that volume is good. Somebody
All right.
somebody in the comments can tell if I should turn the volume up or I should turn the volume down, and we'll go from there. But Andrew John, welcome. I'm glad to have you on.
Thank you, Ethan. It's a pleasure to be here, buddy.
All right. Josh says it sounds good. So you had a road pirate incident here recently. You sent me over a couple videos. Why don't you tell us about that, Andrew?
All right. So a couple days ago, I was bringing my daughter to daycare, and I was on the main interstate highway going south, and I happened to look in my rearview mirror, and I see this car approaching me real quick. Now, I was doing like 70, 75, and he was picking up my pace real fast. So he must be doing 80, 85. And I'm like, okay, well, he's in a hurry, so I'm going to get out of his way. I noticed it was a police car. It was a state trooper. His lights weren't on yet, but I moved over, and in doing so, I crossed a double white line because at the highway, the far left lane is the express lane. But so I moved over to get out of his way. Well, once he catches up to me, he moves over behind me. He crosses a double white line. So I'm just driving along, and like a half mile goes along, and then the cherries come on. So okay, fine, time to pull over. So I move over, and the area that I pulled over happened to be kind of a little triangle right entrance ramp onto the freeway, but not into the entrance ramp. So I was Gary's position safety-wise. But so I stopped there. He approaches the vehicle, and he initially asked for my Minnesota driver's license. And I'm like, I don't carry that when I'm traveling, but here's my passport. He says, do you have a Minnesota state driver's license? I said, do I have to answer that? He says, well, you need a Minnesota state driver's license to drive a car. I said, well, I'm actually traveling in my personal property from point A to point B. I wasn't aware that moving my property required licensure or any of that stuff. He says, well, yeah, you got to have that. I said, well, all I have is my passport. And he says, okay, I'll take that. So he goes back to his car, and 5 minutes goes by. He comes back up to my car without my passport, and he says, well, let me step back a second. So when he left to go back to his car the first time, I said, can I have that back? And he just kept walking. So he walked away with my passport in his hand, which is essentially theft. So when he comes back the first time, he says, well, we talked more about, he was trying to establish jurisdiction, essentially. He was trying to figure out if I knew I was speeding, if I knew my tabs were expired, if I knew that I crossed the double line illegally, all that nonsense. And, I just spoke to him plainly. I said, listen, I was just moving my property from point A to point B. I'm taking my daughter to daycare, and I wasn't aware that I broke any laws. And I asked him, I said, is there a victim? Was there someone harmed in my activities? And he stopped for a second and was confused. And he's like, well, that's not how it works. I said, okay. And then he says, well, we're in a really precarious spot right here as far as safety goes. So let me have you pull ahead, watch the ramp. When there's an opening, pull ahead and park on the right-hand side after the ramp, and I'll follow you. I said, okay, whatever. So we do that, and he comes back again, and he's talking to me, and he's still trying to establish jurisdiction. I'm not giving it to him. I understand his game. I know what he's there to do. He's there to establish jurisdiction so that he can get me into his little game. And I refuse to give it to him. He says, okay, well, hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. So he goes back to his car for the second time. He's back there for 5 minutes or so. Then he comes back up again for the third time. He says, well, so I'm going to give you a warning on the speeding and crossing the double white line. And I wrote you a ticket for expired tabs. So there's a number on the ticket. You can call to pay that, or you can go online, or if you want to set up a court date. And then he hands me back my passport, and I said to him, I said, do you know what the first paragraph on the first page of this document says? This is a federal document. You know what it says? he says, "Thank you, have a good day." And then he just turns around and walks away. And I said, hey. He ignores me and walks back to his car. So that was how the stop went.
All right. Well, few things that are so wrong with that whole thing. And I was just making a couple of notes because I got so much spinning in my head, and I just wanted to let you talk. And I wanted to come back to this. So, all right. So, do you know what the reason was why he pulled you over? Did he state why he pulled you over?
He says he saw me going fast. So apparently he must have, and I didn't see him until he was behind me. So he was either behind traffic or concealed somehow. But so he said I was doing, what did he say, 76 in a 60 or something. And at that point on the freeway, the speed limit changes. It jumps down from like 65 to 60. So he caught me right at a speed change also.
Well, so a lot of these guys, they get quotas. And again, this is an extortion racket. So, so in the name of being a public servant, he puts you in a position that is so dangerous that during the course of your interaction, he has to make the suggestion that this is not safe here. We better move. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, I pulled over as soon as I could, which ended up being
he put you in that position.
An on-ramp.
He put you in that position.
Turning on his light.
Yeah. So, and you've been. We've all seen how they'll run you off the road. They'll flip your car over. They'll take your tires out. They'll hit your bumper from an angle, right? So they got us in fear. Hey, you pulled over to give this guy room. You saw him approaching. Right. You were being a good man. And then he decides to turn his lights on and trespass on you and put you in a position where it's not safe, where it's so not safe that in the middle of your interaction with him, he's got to make the suggestion that, hey, we better move because it's not safe here.
Yeah.
All right. The other thing is, I'm listening to you talk about how he is trying to establish jurisdiction and you're not going to give it to him. And I'm thinking to myself, why don't you just own your jurisdiction and put this treasonous rat in his place? Because of fear. You got your daughter, you got your child with you.
I didn't have the confidence to do so.
Yeah, you don't have the confidence. You get your young one with you, so you're concerned about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if the young one wasn't with you, you still have that responsibility. So you'd be concerned anyways, because you want to be making it home, because your family needs you, right? Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right.
Okay. So, you see, I would have owned my jurisdiction. And if you had facilitated that Americans Notice of Liability and gone in and talked with your sheriff and recorded it in their lobby under their audio and their video where it's memorialized, where you can get a FOIA request, and you would have ordered your sheriff to notify all the bylaw police that road piracy has ended in your county. Were you in your county when this happened?
I was not.
Okay. That can happen, right? Because we're going to travel outside of our county.
Right.
All right. But still, you call your sheriff and have him call the sheriff of that county. You see what I'm saying? So these sheriff's jurisdictions being to their county is a big problem right now. It's a huge problem. So this whole jurisdiction thing is a nightmare. So we'll get back and we'll talk about that. I can't even read my last note here, and this is why I was writing these things down because, like I said, I just got so much in my head.
Yeah. Can I read the first paragraph of my passport?
Yes, I want you to do that because at first I want to say I did a talk on this last night, and it was Andrew John who brought this to my attention. And like I said, I've done a lot of traveling with a passport, and I never paid any attention to this. So go ahead and read that, Andrew.
Right. So my passport from the United States of America, the very first paragraph on the very first page says, the Secretary of State of the United States of America hereby requests all whom it may concern to permit a citizen or national of the United States named herein to pass without delay or hindrance, and in case of need, to give all lawful and aid and protection. The officer that stopped me clearly did not read that paragraph.
Say that last part again.
The officer that stopped me on the road clearly did not read that paragraph.
Right, because
if he had, he would have said, "Have a nice day, travel safely."
Yeah, and he probably doesn't understand the difference between that fiction and the living flesh.
And I brought that up too in our conversation. He didn't want to talk about it. I got the impression he had heard of it before, or he had heard rumors about it, or the fact that people are trying to do this, but didn't want to talk about it. Now, whether or not he was cognizant of the facts, I won't know. But I knew he recognized my argument. He had heard it before in some context from somebody, and he didn't want to talk about it.
Now, if you had facilitated that notice of liability, rather than handing him your passport, you could handed him that notice of liability.
Right.
Oh, that might have set him back a pace or two.
Yeah. Yep.
So what are you going to do now, Andrew?
So initially, I've already written the all rights reserved and UCC 308-1 or 1-308 on my license. If I get stopped again, I'm going to hand the agent my license and my passport, and my initial request will be for him to read that first paragraph out loud.
That's good. Because they're going to write the ticket. See, they're going to write the ticket to the all caps name.
Yep, that's why I returned the ticket 2 days later.
They're trained to do that, and you can have that conversation with them. You can say, you see, this is all caps. And this says the United States of America, blah, 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 blah. This United States, what's it say? Sovereign national, or what does it say?
The Secretary of State, to permit the citizen/national.
Citizen/national of the United States, right?
Right. Yep.
The United States, do you know what that is?
That's a corporation.
Do you know what landmass that covers?
Probably the area that is listed as the United States of America on North American continent.
No, wrong.
Oh, no, wait. No, it's D.C., isn't it?
Yes. 10 square miles. DC. That's the United States. Okay? And they impose their jurisdiction all across America because they are the enemy. And they have taken over the education system. Back in the 1800s is when it started.
Yeah.
They took over the education system. They have taken over the judicial system. They have taken over the medical system. They've taken over our food supply. Everything for our health, the enemy has been in control of. Again, we're not a democracy. We have Democrats with bar cards as servants, calling themselves our leaders. And look what you just went through. Now,
Right.
why don't you facilitate that notice of liability and serve it on your sheriff? Why don't you go in there and own your jurisdiction and give your sheriff an education and something to think about?
Well, that's my next step.
All right. I'm glad to hear that.
Those are my next
You're
steps.
going to record that for us, Andrew?
Well, I have to.
Oh, man, that's beautiful. And so on the services page of the website, 48 love letters. That's 48 state constitution, Bill of Rights, and declarations of rights. If you haven't spent any time in there, you might want to spend a little bit of time in there. If you have the ability to print that off, I'd print it off, because it's a lot of pages, but paper is so good when you're studying, because it's a lot different than trying to flip back and forth through the electronic devices. And my stack of study papers, this is it. There's just a few pieces of paper here. You're going to print off a third of a ream, maybe half a ream of paper to get all of those. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, probably 20 pages here out of all of that. And this is all I need to talk with anybody about the Constitution, about our rights. But I left that whole stack with my sheriff. And this is where we get control. This is where we start to get accountability. Because the sheriff can arrest the governor. And we got a governor that needs to be arrested. We got garrison commanders that need to be arrested. We got sheriffs and undersheriffs and jail sergeants that need to be arrested. We got judges that need to be arrested, that have all been in court, a court of record. There's no law enforcement. We need people running for sheriff that got the cojones to do the right thing. And any of you sheriffs that don't have the cojones to do the right thing, you need to know we got your back if you will do the right thing. Isn't that right, Andrew?
That's right on.
We got their back if they'll do the right thing. And what's going to happen if they don't have our back? We got their back. What's going to happen to them if they don't have our back? Because this is the Wizard of Oz. We've been down the yellow brick road and we've pulled back the curtain, haven't we?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to them if they don't have our back? We're coming for them.
We replaced them.
We're not just replacing them. We're coming for them. Treason is treason. And to conceal treason is treason.
Right.
You got a little one. How many little ones you got, Andrew? Do you mind?
No, 2 daughters.
2. Growing up in this world, I got 6 that are adults and grandchildren. And I cannot tolerate the thought that this is going to continue anymore.
I agree.
And all my brothers and sisters across the world. So, because the sheriff won't do his job, the military won't do its job, our servants won't do its job, the veterans don't rally. There's no militia because the men have all been emasculated, fattened up, dumbed down, filled with porn, drugs, alcohol, TV, a comfortable chair, a nice heated house or cooled house, decent transportation, poisonous food to drink, poisonous water to drink to keep dumbing you down, making you hapless, hopeless, helpless, fearful, confused. And God is really angry. All the murder that's going on. How many innocent lives are murdered every day before they get their first breath? The most precious gift on the most stupidest argument. My body, my choice. Sweetheart, if it wasn't rape, it was your body and your choice. Doesn't give you the right to hire for murder. And in the case of rape, I don't think murder is justified. There's a lot of loving families. We all suffer. We all suffer a lot of things. If you suffered a rape and you're pregnant, that's God's gift in there. There's a lot of loving homes that would take care of that one.
And especially now the shots come out.
The stuff that's going on is wrong, wrong, wrong. And the only way we're going to fix it is if we stand up and band together. You take one piece of spaghetti, a child can snap it. An infant can snap it. You put 1,000 pieces of spaghetti together, try and break that. You're going to have a real tough time. I don't care how strong you are. You get one bee buzzing around, you get swatted, killed, end of the problem. You get 1,000 of us bees coming at you.
Exactly.
You ain't got enough swatting power, baby. So this is what we got to do. Now, I know people are afraid to watch my YouTube videos. I have a friend that I called on last summer. It was a 911 situation. It was an emergency situation for me. I called on a friend, a man. He wasn't feeling good. He's a good man. He answered my 911 call. He came over here. Within 10 minutes, he had shock, a look of shock on his face, fear written all over him, panic, and saying, "You're blah, 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 Whitmer, and my trucks, and your..." He couldn't get out of here fast enough. And I've sent him a couple of videos, and the marks don't go active. He's afraid to be here. He's afraid to watch one of my videos. I know people are afraid to make a comment on my videos. Oh, the FBI is going to come get me if we support Ethan. They're afraid to give a thumbs up or donate $1. FBI is coming. Oh, they got you so full of fear. The FBI is the lowest law enforcement.
It's not law enforcement, Ethan.
Well, they're not. They don't have a charter. They're acting in treason. They have been represented to us in the movies, on TV,
as an authority,
in the news as the highest authority.
And they have none.
They have
zero.
None. That's correct. If you own your authority, they have none. You give up your rights, they'll rake you through the coals, right? Well, I'm glad to hear you're going to facilitate that notice of liability. When did you start waking up, and who have you been following?
So I've been following Christopher James from Warrior Calls for about a year. Probably maybe 2 years, actually. But I've been on this search for truth for over a decade, personally, in various aspects of my life, from health to law to you name it. I've covered the gamut of health therapies, and I've ended up on law, natural law, common law. I watched Mark Bassio for a year or so before I found Christopher James.
Now, Christopher is a strong man, and he's been 20 years trying to get the answer, and he's got it. It's the courts, and that recording from him last summer is epic. Yeah. However, he's in Canada, and he doesn't have the Constitution that we have.
Right.
We have 50 constitutions.
Right.
51, if you want to count the fraud. But our state constitutions is where our rights are. So Mark Levin, Mr. Schill, Mr. Dershowitz, okay, and the Mockingbird media, our scholars, you know, Mark Levin's always sitting there looking so scholarly with his leg crossed and his beard and contemplating deeply on the Constitution. When's he ever going to tell you, hey, look to your state constitution, you dumbed down slave? Never. Why? Because he's a parasite, in my opinion. Otherwise, he would tell you. Now, why is the Supreme Court such a low court? I'm going to tell you why. In Washington, in D.C., that Supreme Court is part of the judicial, where you have justices that determine the constitutionality of an issue.
Right.
They don't hold court, do they? No, they don't. They make a determination on constitutionality.
Do they have the authority to do that in the first place?
Well, apparently the enemy has facilitated this.
Right.
So the enemy has infiltrated our business and has been trespassing upon us, extorting us, poisoning our minds, poisoning our bodies, poisoning our souls, and robbing us blind. And telling us, oh, you need to talk to an attorney. I mean, what a racket. So we've pulled back the curtain. So it's very easy to understand. You can own your authority, and the sheriff is the highest law enforcement officer on the land. One man in a county. His closest comrade is a county away. He doesn't stand with a bazillion treasonous rats for support, like a bar attorney or like a legislator. He stands alone. And a lot of these sheriffs don't have the cojones to talk with a man like you or me. Sheriff here in Kalkaska County, which still never has and probably never will. And when I get him in court, he's just there to be sentenced. We've already held court. But the jury needs to know the testimony and know it needs to know that he agrees to charge of treason so that they can dispense justice and restitution. So I may never have to talk to the man.
Yeah.
But he's got to go. But since people are afraid to watch my video, since my friends, my man friends, are afraid to come visit me, are afraid to call me, are afraid to watch a video, I know why people won't donate $1. Now they're spending the money on the truckers. $5-6 million. What? To end a mandate? What about all the other treason? What about all the other trespass? What about the fear that people live in? We get law enforcement, we fix everything because the assemblies are going to follow naturally. So I facilitated a court case. Did I do that yesterday or the day before? I did that yesterday. I facilitated a court case. See, it costs money to get there. It costs to print. Now, I also did one that I had to mail. I put a case on a judge yesterday too. I'll be talking about that one in a few days. But anyways, as everybody knows, I am the executive manager, executive emergency manager for Michigan. I took that position in a court of record when I put 3 garrison commanders in court because we don't have responsible servants in our government as our governor. We don't have constitutional law enforcement in our sheriffs. And peer-reviewed science is so polluted that given visual measurable evidence of the efficacy of marijuana, even in slave land, nobody should be punished for that. Yet we got men in prison, men in court, men on probation. And I was a slave. I was a slave when I discovered that in 2015. I was a slave this time last year. This time last year, I didn't even know what a state constitution was. Fact. I was a dumbed down idiot. I was a pure slave, living in fear. But after you have been with a near-death experience, like I was from health, I was literally on my deathbed checking out. I was ready to go. I was real tired. I had nothing left. Obviously, I had something left. And then God picked me up. I learned about oral health out of desperation. But I was a cannabis guy. I had a clue. And that led me to my toxic teeth. And I started asking a lot of questions. Got my toxic teeth out, and I started getting healthy. I'm still getting healthier. Got taller, got stronger. 27 chronic conditions either gone or nearly gone. I actually did a little jog the other day. That'd be impossible with my knees, my hips, and my back. But I'm rebuilding them. They wanted to do, you see, when I came back from Jamaica, failed because government got involved and shut down international banking for the people that were partnering with me to bring this out, cannabis and oral health. I got off that plane. I didn't have $100 in my pocket. I went on assistance. So one of the things they require is you go see a doctor. Like the last place I want to go is see one of them some bitches, unless I need surgery. You need surgery, you're in America, you're in a pretty good spot. But for your health, last person you want to see is a doctor. Anyways, I told him, I said, the left knee, the right hip, and where the tailbone meets the spine, those are my 3 biggest complaints. Hip, sure enough, bone on bone. You need knee replacement. You need hip replacement. And I don't know what he thought he was going to do with my back. I told him, no thanks. There's ways to fix that. And I've been working on it. I've rebuilt the cartilage. That's why I'm taller. I've gained over a ½ inch in height. That's because I got cartilage in them joints. So the BAR, British Accredited Registry, Private Association, American Dental Association, American Medical Association. Does that sound like government to you? Private member associations operating outside of governance with immunity? Andrew?
No, it is not.
No, it's not. It's the enemy. They treat us with poison. And then when there's a complication, they treat us with another poison. And when there's a complication, treat us with another poison. And you got a lot of people my age taking a handful of poison 2-3 times a day. How stupid are we? So, Andrew, what were you thinking? You're sitting in that car. He's stolen your property. Were you thinking you wish you had that Americans Notice of Liability to slide out the window to him? Or were you thinking something else?
Honestly, I don't believe that he was at a level that he would even understand what that document means. To be honest, to replay it in my head, I think the best thing I could have done was to open up that passport for him initially and read that first paragraph to him and then ask him what other questions he has, because I'm going to go. He had no idea what anything I gave him meant.
Right, but you served that notice of liability on him, and now you've got you've made your declaration in court. You've made your testimony in court, and now he's been noticed. Now he's been noticed. Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not saying it would have.
And for a man not to know his everyday job is a deceit, and for us not to own our authority is a sin. And we got to get over the fear, Andrew. And and it's not an easy thing to do, is it, my man?
No, but that stop got me over the fear. Now I'm just trying to cure the ignorant.
Are you sure you're over the fear?
Absolutely.
All right. And we're going to see an awesome video coming from Andrew John.
God have mercy on the next cop that pulls me
over. And hopefully your sheriff is going to, hopefully your sheriff is in, you know what, that should maybe be one of the first questions somebody asks their sheriff when they go in to see him. Are you a member of Sheriff Mack's posse? And if he says yes, say, Do you know that Ethan Dean says that Sheriff Mack, in his opinion, is a treasonous rat because he's got you guys all chasing your tail? You want to be constitutional, but he's not. That would be a very interesting conversation to start out with a sheriff. Annie, there's 400 of them in that posse. I think at least 350 of them, if not all 400, want to do the right thing. But they're afraid, and they're dumbed down. So we need to educate them and let them know we got their back. Yeah. If you need to deputize 500 of us, 1,000 of us, 10,000 of us, you're going to do the right thing. We'll be there, won't we? Right. Andrew?
Yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. Well, there's a lot of comments, and I can't read them without putting these things on. Go ahead and talk for a minute if you got something to say. I want to read some of this stuff.
Well, I took care of the ticket, so I was talking to my friend Sherry Elizabeth, and we were conversing about the fact that in contract law, there's basically a 72-hour rule that you would have 72 hours to decline the offer to contract. So what I did was I wrote up some documentation, a letter.
Where does wait, back up. Well, where does that 72-hour thing come from? Does that come from Clown World, Parasite Land, or is that a constitutional thing?
I don't know, to be honest.
Well, I'm telling you, that's in my opinion, that's Parasite Clown World Land, and that's slave talk you're doing. Slave talk you're doing about the 72 hours.
But it's been almost a maximum from what I've researched. But so I took the ticket back, and I returned it to him and said, "This is not my property. Someone left it in my car, and I do not want it. That name on there is not me. Therefore, it does not belong to me. It is yours. Have a nice day." So the ball's in their court, and I'll see if they do with it.
Are you away from your mic or something? It's sounding a little broke up.
Oh, did it get cold or get it soft? It might have broken up a little bit from the signal, I guess.
Right on. Okay. Wow.
So I'm just gonna wait to see what they do with it. They may send me another bill in the mail.
Well, you see, you can put them in your court, just like I've done with so many. And your position is strong regardless of anything, but your position is much better with that notice of liability facilitated first. And keep your original, Andrew, and I'd make yourself 10 copies while you're there at the copy machine. When you get down to having 1 or 2 copies left, make a couple more.
Yeah.
And this is why, another reason why to have the 1-pager is just so much less to deal with.
Right.
Yep. And it's just as powerful as the 2-page. And So how fast do you think that state bylaw policy officer was driving to trespass upon you and put you in a dangerous situation? You would put you and your daughter in a dangerous situation.
Right. Well, he said I was doing 76, and he was coming up on me at least 10 miles over me. So that means he was doing 80, 85.
No,
on a road with a speed limit of 60.
So from a point of common sense and critical thinking, does that make any sense at all?
Well, no, but that also explains why he waived the first 2 offenses. He said, "I'm going to give you a warning on the speeding in the double line." And I think he did that because A, he was speeding, and B, he crossed the double white line also. So he's not going to ticket me for something he did himself.
They do it all the time.
Right, but he knew that I knew what I was talking about too. So he knew that I had a little more education. So I'm guessing
That's
he gave
helpful.
me a warning on those two.
Well, that's helpful.
Why? It's because he did the exact same thing. He was speeding and he crossed the line to follow me. So he broke the same laws he's trying to enforce on me.
Well, we know that in Canada, Christopher James is getting support because the officers over there and the sheriffs don't like what they've been doing to the people and don't feel that it's right. Yet they're trapped in the system. And I think there's a lot of that going on here. And every man is worth redemption. But this is no game, and we're not here to baby him.
Right. No, yeah, there's no room for play.
And this is easy to understand stuff. If I can figure it out and I can understand it, anybody can figure it out and understand it. And I break it down to simple. Does anybody break it down to any simpler than I do, Andrew, that you've been listening to?
Carl Lentz. Carl Lentz makes it really, really simple.
I've never listened to him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, go onto YouTube and just search for Carl Lentz and start binging his videos. He makes it just stupid simple.
Excellent.
He's had some really great successes in court, too.
Oh, then he's a slave. Oh, well, I mean, I'll retract. If he's going into court like Alphonse, that...
No. When he goes there, he creates his own courts.
Excellent.
Yeah, he establishes his own court alongside the same court that he's drug into.
Ah, right. He drags them into his court.
Exactly.
Yeah, now we're talking. Don't go into their court.
He makes it just, like I said, stupid simple.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll like Carl.
So how come you haven't been following his advice then?
My learning style, I tend to hit a bunch of spots before I grab on anything securely. And you're one of the places I grabbed onto securely after Christopher James.
Wow. Well, Carl Lentz, we'll have to pay attention to him. It's important.
I haven't heard much from him lately, but his videos are still out there. People still repost his videos. So
it's important that we own our authority. It's important that we deal with our sheriffs. Elections are coming up. There is no time to waste. We've got to educate the American people. We've got to educate the sheriffs. Anyone can run for sheriff. Anyone can run for sheriff. If you want to make a difference, if you want justice, if you want freedom with liberty and franchise, privacy, security, health, then do something. Share these videos, educate people, talk about it, talk with your sheriff, serve your sheriff with a notice of liability and educate him. Tell him road piracy has ended and make him call the bylaw officers. All it takes is the courage. So Josh Eddy showed us, didn't he? What do you think of the Josh Eddy videos, Andrew?
Yeah, he does a lot of good work. He knows his stuff.
Josh has been spending a lot of time with me. I've been spending a lot of time with Josh. We've had a lot of private phone calls and emails back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Josh has had some heavy mental blocks to get over. But he's done it. He's working on it. He's being the alpha male. He's got young ones. He's got young ones too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we need, men. We need men being men.
Another good one is Dave. Dave Jose's another good one.
Say again?
said Dave Jose is another good one.
Dave Jose is probably one of the best constitutional teachers, but in my opinion, he's just like Sheriff Mack. Right? Because he's only going to let you go so far. You see, Dave reached out to me several months ago and messaged me. I did a video on this, and I put the PCAPs up because I took screenshots. Dave says to me, what I figured out, no one would figure out in 100 years. He wanted, and I'm not teaching, he wanted me teaching on his platforms. So I started posting. And then Josh Eddy'd been following Dave. And Josh Eddy's following me. And Josh is getting a good feeling about my notice of liability, but he's not sure. He's not sold. And he wants to talk to Jose. So Jose keeps putting it off and putting it off. Josh and I did a talk on this. It's recorded. So Josh pushed. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. And it was a Friday, I believe, that Josh communicated with Dave, and David communicated back with Josh. He likes to be called David. David Jose, not Dave Jose. David Jose. We'll give him his respect for that. So apparently, Mr. Jose messages Josh back. We'll talk about it on Monday. Well, Monday comes and is almost gone, and nothing from Mr. Jose. So Josh gets on a Telegram chat on Dave's channel. And I'm on Telegram. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just going about my business. I pay attention to things. And when there's a live chat, you can see who's speaking. Their thumbnail pops up and blinks when they're talking. And I see Josh is on Dave's channel. I know his thumbnail. And he's talking. And then someone else, and then Josh, and someone else, and then Josh. And I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, wow, I wonder what's going on, because I know he wants to know about the notice of liability. But I'm staying out of it. I'm staying completely out of it. And it turns out that Dave Jose came on and just berated Josh very unprofessionally, wouldn't answer any question about the notice of liability. Josh stood his ground pretty good, as I understand it. And then shortly after that, I got a message from Dave Jose, please don't post on my channels anymore. So Dave Jose is a gatekeeper. He's there.
80-20.
Yeah, he's one of the best teachers, and the reason is when you get to a certain point, you want to know more, and you have been letting somebody hold your hand for your education, you're going to go to that person and say, Dave, what do you think? Sheriff Mack, what do you think? But you see, I couldn't afford to take one of Dave's webinars.
Yeah.
And I moved along fast on my learning curve. I listened to David Straight. I know this ain't the way to go. I listened to Christopher James. I'm like, no, he's in Canada. I listened to Jesse Cass. No, he's in South Africa. I listened to Yusuf on high frequency radio.
I listened to Yusuf before,
No, that's not the way to go. I listened to Alfonso. No, that's not the way to go. But all these guys taught me something. I learned something from all of them. And then I apply my critical thinking, and I got nothing else to do except figure this out. So that's what I did. I figured it out. And I got down the yellow brick road, and I pulled the curtain back. And what do we got? We got British agents. So it's just that simple. The bar has got to go. The Democrats have got to go. The men got to grow a pair, put on their suit of armor, grab their sword and their shield, and go in there and talk to their sheriff. Run for sheriff, and let's have law enforcement. By God, amen.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, you got any closing comments for us?
No, I'm just going to keep learning and keep building on what I got and get my NOL, my notice liability up. And I'm not going to take any shit from anybody.
All right. All right. I'm glad to hear it.
With my employer.
And I'm so glad that we finally got a chance to actually talk rather than messaging.
Yeah, me too.
So excellent find on the first page of the passport. That was very good information.
I don't remember who. I think it was David Strait that taught me that.
Excellent. Yeah, all these teachers, they've got some good things, but I haven't seen anybody that's got the road to get you all the way. And
yeah, I know.
And I do. And I picked up the banner. But the people have got to get behind it. And in order to get behind it, they got to get over a couple of things. They got to get over the mental block. And they got to get over the fear. And when they get over the mental block and they get over the fear, we can fix everything. And we ended prohibition with 3%. We won the revolution with 3%.
Mm-hmm.
We can do this with 0.5%. We can do this with 0.01%.
Well, we're ruled by 0.01%. There's no reason why not.
That's it, because we're just dealing with the sheriff.
Yep.
One man in a county. That's it. Either he becomes a constitutional sheriff or he gets replaced. And none of these sheriffs, none of them are properly in their seat. They spend the vast majority of their time in the administrative world, conspiring with the enemy, the county prosecuting attorney. And all these cases are in front of a judge. And jury trial is a trick. It's a manipulation. It's not trial by jury. Yeah, you got 12 jurors there to decide guilty or not guilty. Then you got an administrative judge that's going to decide the law. That is not lawful. That is treason.
Yeah. And
so they know it. So every one of these judges is guilty. To know treason and hide it is treason. To act in treason is treason.
Yep.
And they don't teach this in law school.
Right.
They don't teach the Constitution in law school. So now, after somebody's...
You can't even bring the Constitution in the courtroom.
Yeah. So after somebody's been to law school and now has a huge debt, then they get into practice and they start developing some credit. And they're making bang over buck. So they get the big house with the big mortgage. They go on vacations. They buy the motor home. They buy the boat. They buy the cottage. All borrowed money. They're in so deep. Then they wake up and they go, oh, I don't like this. Oh, well, we will destroy you. We will destroy you. Look what they did to, tried to do, what they did to Giuliani, Lynn Wood, Sidney Powell.
Yeah.
These attorneys, they want to stand up for the people, and the bar decides to crush them.
Yeah.
And those were powerful people. Just think about somebody just got out of law school. Ain't nobody. And they just wet their pants. They crap their pants. And they become treasonous, spineless rats. So it's time to end it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Andrew John, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your videos. Thank you for sharing that information on the passport. Thank you for calling in. And thank you for your commitment to go see your sheriff and send us some videos.
I will. Thank you for your having me on there, Ethan. I appreciate your time. And I appreciate having a brother like you next to me in this battle.
Thank you, man. It's my pleasure. All right, Andrew, we'll talk soon. Blessings.
Good, brother. Have a good night.
Much love, brother. All right. Wow, now how cool is that, huh? One by one, the men are stepping up. We got another one coming up, too. We do. Yeah, been having a lot of conversation, back and forth. We're going to see a good one happening in another state. Should happen by Monday, Tuesday at the latest. All right. Has anybody got a question that I didn't answer? I have not been paying attention to this chat, and I don't see any questions here. If you got a question, pop it in there now. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off. We're rolling up on hour 22 minutes here. What was the name? Name of what, Josh? What was the name? That was Andrew John. Well, you can hit me up on that next time we talk, Josh. All right, everybody. Facilitate your notice of liability. The guy he spoke of that went into court. Oh, I can't remember right now off the top of my head. He's in the chat, Josh. Just message him direct or message him in the chat. Message him in the chat so that everybody finds out. On Telegram. All right, let's see. I took my glasses off and it's scrolled. It moved. L something. Yeah. Starts with a K, I think. Coots. I don't know. All right, everybody. We'll be back soon. I'm going to read the court case for the Michigan sheriffs. They're all the same. The only thing that's changing is the first page, who it's to. Everything else on the first page stays the same. So it's going to the sheriff and undersheriff in 81 of 83 counties in Michigan. We don't have to worry about taking Patrick Whiteford and his undersheriff Wagner into court. They've already been there. We don't have to worry about Darleaf or Jason Sixbury. They've already been there. But we are going to visit their departments, because we're going to be posting everything we're going to post in all the sheriff's departments. Except in Darleaf Sheriff's Department, we'll be posting a wanted poster for Sheriff Darleaf and Jason Sixbury, in addition to everything else that gets posted. We'll also be delivering a notice to all the people in there that their sheriff and undersheriff have agreed to charges of treason in an open court of record, and that anyone giving aid and comfort to a treasonous rat is subject to consequences. And our advice is clear out of here by the end of the day. And we'll leave those treasonous rats all alone in their department. Then maybe the community will stand up and say, where's our sheriff's department? And then maybe they'll go in there and run those treasonous rats out and handcuff them and put them in their own jail and form their grand jury, form their assemblies, and deal with it, by God. But nothing is going to stop what's coming. Nothing. So I got that case facilitated. It's ready to be served. We need money for the Constitutional Accountability Committee. There's going to be men that are going to be traveling all over the state. There's time, there's fuel, there's food, there's accommodations at night. There's reams and reams, 30, 40, maybe 50 reams of paper need to be printed. You can donate money to Christopher Key to put up billboards over a mandate. You can raise $5-6 million for truckers in Canada for a mandate. Let's deal with everything. $50,000 is what we're looking to raise to get 81 sheriffs and undersheriffs in our court with unrebutable testimony. They will either become constitutional sheriffs or they will be known treasonous rats. And when the Constitutional Accountability Committee and the People's Bureau of Investigation return and find that they have already agreed to charge of treason in an open court of record, then we'll be dealing with their departments the same way we deal with Kalkaska and Barry County. We'll be putting wanted posters for that sheriff and undersheriff. And we're also going to be looking to raise bounty money. Because how are you going to get satisfaction on wanted posters if you don't have bounty hunters? And how are you going to have bounty hunters if you don't have bounties? So you want peace. You want security. You want privacy. You want prosperity. You want freedom with liberty. You want good, clean, healthy food. You want good, clean, healthy water. You want a safe environment to live in. You want happiness. Deal with your sheriff. All right. Much love, everybody. We'll be back. I'm not sure what we'll do next. It might be reading that court case. Bye for now.